All right, guys. Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we have Harmon Ease. How are you guys doing today?
Great. How's it going,
Awesome.
Tom?
Pretty good. We actually got to do an interview with you guys almost a year ago to this date, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, when our single "Cut Me Loose" came out.
Yeah, that was fun times. It's good to actually get to chat with you guys in person, though.
Yeah, you too, man.
So, for those who are new to you guys, you want to get kind of a little brief intro about Harmonies and just kind of who you guys are?
Sure. So yeah, we're called Harmonies. We were formed here in Canada, but we ended up moving to Argentina, Buenos Aires, where we were based out of for about 5, 6 years, and we made our way back to Canada in the last 2 years. We make like modern rock, blues rock sounding music. Yeah, we have members from like I'm from Colombia, he's from Argentina, they're Canadian, and yeah, we're here to make music. We have our new album coming out, Camino Loco, and we're super excited.
Nice. Yeah, and that's actually the main reason we're here to talk is about the new album. But first, we'll kind of get into since we talked to you last, how has your guys' music evolved from then?
Man.
Sure.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. So last time we talked, it was when Cut Me Loose was kind of just kind of taking off, right? It was like we're doing the press campaign for it.
That's right. Yeah.
TikTok embraced it and it started being used everywhere, like as a sound and stuff. So as a result of that, like we already had a whole bunch of other songs already cooking, like on the way, right? Because like we just wrote through the pandemic, we just wrote like 100 songs basically, and our sound just like Cut Me Loose kind of showed us how we could do like the kind of rock music that we love that is true to like the roots of like blues music and like the greats of rock music, but make it for today's time, with the sonic qualities of like music you hear on the radio, like in rotation that comes out nowadays, and like and suddenly found ourselves like competing like on the charts with some of the biggest bands like in the world, like bands that we grew up listening to. So it's kind of our sound just became far more like global, I feel.
I think since we were living in South America for so long, we are also not as much in touch with North American music that was at like current music and stuff. And I think in the last year, like when we did Come You Loose, it was when we had just shown up to Canada. We've been here for about a year, and then and it was during the pandemic, so things were slower. And in this last year, we've been able to like meet more bands and start touring a little again, and like and just getting more influences from just living in Canada. So I think it's definitely developed our sound for sure. And we like in the last year we've also grown a lot in the studio ourselves. So we're pushing it as much as we can to create this like fresh sounding rock band.
That actually kind of transitioned into my next point. Like, how is your process involved when you're coming up with music?
Yeah, like we all live together, and we're actually in this is our studio we work from, which makes it easy for our workflow because like we're always coming up with ideas and we're always writing, and so we have like a steady flow right now of how we're writing our songs and stuff. So it's flowing really well, and yeah, we all bring in like a little bit of something to the table, right? So like the songs just kind of when they're being born, like there's so much coming into it from different perspectives that it's creating this like unique sound that yeah that's super cool. But yeah, the process has been it's great because we're always together, right? So ideas are just flowing constantly.
Yeah, it's like there's not an exact formula. That's what I keep telling like people who ask us about our process, right? It's like there's no exact way, but thankfully, like since we live together and
It's
like
efficient.
yeah, there's it's like a creative hub, so it doesn't matter if it's like an idea that Danny initially brings in or something that Rylan brings in or like a song I write and I bring in or something. It's like it can be any of those like forms, and then we just all put our grain of salt into it and becomes a harmony song.
And I think that definitely bodes well for the creative process because you guys all work so well together. It seems like it works well with the music that you guys are putting out for sure.
Yeah, and that takes time, finding the right people and like are just connecting the right way where like being in a room with four different people, everyone's got their own opinion on stuff, but when you finally find like this kind of flow where you're like, yeah, I think this kinds of ideas are going to work for all of us and stuff. And
Mhm.
I feel like we're there right now where we can like we can trust each other, you know.
We understand each other's like common ground, creative.
Oh, that's awesome. So working through COVID, did you guys develop extra hobbies to keep busy, or was it all music all the time?
We definitely delved into like our production and engineering a lot more. Like we were writing a lot of songs, so we spent a ton of time like in the studio, like kind of perfecting that craft to where it is now. And yeah, it was a good opportunity for that. It was definitely hard without like live shows, but we
Mhm.
really focused on that, and I think it definitely shows now how far we've come in that world. And yeah,
We definitely started like diving into the social media world a lot more throughout the pandemic.
yeah,
like
that too.
if anything, like when it comes to new skills, I feel like I learned a lot about like editing videos, editing music and stuff like that, which is something like a few years back I would just leave it for someone else to do, you know. It'd be like I always enjoyed the creative side of like creating content and stuff, but it'd be like maybe someone else can edit. But now just because we've had extra time, you know, it'd be like, all right, let me start editing and stuff like that. And then you realize like, oh, I can kind of do this. And so I learned some of those kinds of skills. And yeah, like honestly just focused on music in the whole couple years that everything slowed down. Like we were still living together. So we really just wrote a lot of songs.
There
like,
weren't
there's
a lot of
hundreds.
shows either, so that's pretty much all we had.
Yeah. I mean, now with things opening back up, and you guys did a live show recently, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Opened for Monster Truck a few weeks back.
Mhm, yeah.
Waterloo, yeah.
How is it getting back out there now, like kind of brushing off the dust?
Oh, it was so good, dude.
It's a lot of fun.
So good. We need it. Like I feel like this band. I was telling this to someone the other day, but it's like we definitely want our albums to sound great, you know, and I want our productions to be amazing. But I do feel like Harmonies is more of like a live act where that's where like our fans are gonna come from. You know, people are gonna go see our show and be like, "Holy shit, that was a rock show," and that was something I want to go to again. I want to talk about and stuff. So. Yeah, it's something that it was missing so much in our life. So just being back on stage just brings out this other side of us that we need to continue doing as much as we can.
Was there like jitters getting out there for the first time again in a while, or did you just go right into it and just feel at home?
Kind of, yeah. I feel like
My guitar dropped completely out of tune in the third song, and I started feeling like panic and adrenaline rushing.
I saw
through
your
my veins.
face.
It was a big stage. I ran off the stage like full speed. I don't think I've ever run that fast. And yeah, but then I finally got another working guitar on me, and like the adrenaline was just buzzing. You know, it felt like I was like about to fall off a building or something.
It was probably about like 15 seconds.
Yeah. But I felt like I was gonna fall off a building. I was so like in a state of like vertigo and adrenaline, and it's like you can have those moments on stage that like whether it be for a good reason or a bad reason, but like let's say you have a really like you have a moment in which you connect a lot with the audience or something. Like and they're feeding that energy back to you. It's like close to an out of body experience, and you're. Yep.
that's kind of good. Biggest part is so much late.
Nope. Okay.
What's the way?
Get back on.
What's the way? Get back home. Nope. Sleep, darling, you don't cry. I was
Weird.
Go on the floor, smile when you run. Sleep, darling, do not cry. Oh, carry the way, oh, you gotta carry the way a long time.
Okay, so yeah, we left off with
Live shows.
Yeah, and I mean, I caught everything, and then so at least we'll have that that audio, which is good.
About race car drivers and jumping out of helicopters.
As much as I could get it, anyways.
Okay.
So let's get back into where am I now? My notes. That really throws me off when that type of stuff happens. Okay, we talked about the live stuff. Now you guys said you kind of dove into some TikToks and stuff like that. You guys, I saw 2.2 million on one of your TikToks. Like that's got to be pretty crazy.
Yeah. TikTok, it's actually like so great how much it's given back to us. At first, it was like we didn't really want to join the app because I don't know, we were focused on our Instagram, and TikTok was like the new thing. We're like another thing to start from scratch from. But we ended up starting from scratch, and then like our fan base is like 10 times bigger on TikTok than Instagram after like only a year of using TikTok. So there's a crazy community on there,
It's
and
good exposure.
Yeah, and
Go live.
yeah, it's been great to us, and we've been like putting in as much work as we can on that side of social media. But yeah, it's crazy when you see those kinds of numbers.
Yeah, sorry. Do you guys have like tips and tricks of how you're succeeding on TikTok? I know my TikTok sucks right now.
I guess the first tip I'll tell anyone, especially like musicians and artists and people who are trying to decide if they should open an account or not, is just do it like now. Don't waste time. Just go and create your account and start posting, because like that was our like I heard about TikTok years ago and I was like, we don't need it. And then a year ago we did it, and we were still a little late on like how much we could have been growing on that app. And then tips for it is just sit down and spend some time watching TikTok. You know, that's something that like not in like in a weird like just sit down and watch how other people are creating content, right? And just see how the app moves and stuff. And like I usually watch TikTok not because I'm really watching the content. I'm kind of studying each video, right? So every time I'm swiping, I'm not like taking in content as like a viewer. I'm taking it in as like, how can I create this in a different way, right? So I'm watching it, getting ideas. And then just if you find a certain creator you like just kind of watch them and see what they're doing and try to do your own spin off on what they're doing, you know? So, and then the only thing is just don't be afraid and post shit. Cause like, that's what we did. And we're lucky that lots of the things that blow up on TikTok are like original songs of ours and stuff. It's not like, cause we do have a fair share of random videos you post, cause TikTok also wants random stuff, right? So you do a bit of randomness, then you do stuff that are focused on your career, and it's been very beneficial for us. So it's like just posting stuff out there, and there's so many different formats of how you can get your content out. Like some people will just speak for minutes on the app with no edit and we'll get millions of comments. Some people will spend time and do little edits and stuff, but it's not like, it's just being real and being authentic. And like people on TikTok want to see the realest thing possible, like the least amount of edit, like the thing that like unites you most with people. So like it's not like Instagram where you put filters and you show this like life that isn't really real, you know, the whole Instagram versus reality. I feel like TikTok is more like show the reality, because that's what like does better on there, you know? So yeah, it's easier than people think. It's not that much. It's just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, I was trying to adapt that into my content. Like for musicians, I think it'd be a little bit easier because you guys have songs and stuff you can play off of, where so I'm a photographer, just kind of how I started doing things, and posting some pictures is fine, but TikTok is more of a video based app, so a picture doesn't do as well. So I tried to adopt something, and I've been using clips from interviews so far as a jumping point. It's doing pretty well.
You know what I could recommend for the photography stuff? I see a lot of photographers, what they do is they like film like a 5-6 seconds video, like showing up to the spot they're going to take a picture of or something that kind of like gets you drawn in, and then you start taking pictures, and then you start showing like what the pictures look like, right?
Okay.
So I don't know, like there's people who do like street photography or whatever, right? Yes, so they'll start a video of them walking around being like, hey, can I take a picture of you? Do you mind? And they'll get that on video. The person will be like, sure. And then it turns over, and then it's just all the shots, you know? And then
with some like song in the background usually.
Yeah, I mean that would work, especially so because we're covering Blues Fest right now. I was thinking of trying to do something in the lines of having different acts and stuff up there.
Up to the act, and you kind of have a little camera filming, like, hey guys, like I'm gonna take a quick picture of you guys, if that's cool. And then the moment you like snap the picture, then it switches to like the actual pictures edited and stuff, and then you can showcase like your work. And then the moment right before it, and you kind of have a video to it. Like that's the thing, you don't need a really high quality video for TikTok. It's whatever on a phone that's enough for people to be like, what's going on here, you know? So
Yeah, something to try out for sure. And that's, you know, you guys are succeeding, so I'll take any tips I can get at this point. Yeah,
Like a lot of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like just being creative with every idea you possibly can.
for sure, for sure. So one of the main reasons we're here to talk, and I think we should talk a bit more, is the new EP you guys have. It's Camino Loco is the name.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with that name?
We just really wanted something that represented our like past in Argentina and our road here, right? So Camino Loco translates to like crazy road or crazy journey, and we thought it'd just be a good tribute to the like just our story and of us coming to Canada and just all the stuff we've gone through in the last few years. So it like summed it all up in like a cool way.
Yeah, it explains who we are basically and like how far we've come, you know, to get to this album. This album is a result of that crazy path, right? Of coming here, living through the pandemic, like not having live shows, writing all these songs, and this album is just a perfect representation of what Harmonies has done to be where we are right now, you know, sonically and as people, I guess, and as a band, as a unit all together, you know.
And you guys got some pretty big names that help work on this, like Giovanni Illuminati, you guys worked with previously. He's back on this one, and Justin Coop. How was it working with these guys for this one?
Oh, it was amazing. These guys are the best. Working with Johnny is amazing. Like he's a super talented, creative guy, and really helps our productions like get to taken to another level. And Justin Coop was great. We recorded some of the songs on the album in his studio in Burlington. It got mixed by Togs. Most of the songs were mixed by Tog Salter, who lives in Nashville, who's also just amazing and really understands our sound, this like modern rock sound and stuff. So
it was nice to record in Burlington because like it's where the band started too. Two songs were done in Burlington, which is where the band started.
One of the songs on the album as well has a collab with an Argentine artist, a band called CMS, which we used to tour with a lot when we lived there. So there's this like we have a lot of stuff that tie to our life and our story and stuff. And yeah, it's crazy because, for example, Johnny he's from Burlington as well, from Walk Off the Earth, and that's like a full circle for us because we grew up in Burlington. We used to really like when they were taking off. It was like, wow, I wonder if we'll meet them one day or whatever. So yeah, it's cool that we're releasing our first like proper album in Canada, and it's got like all these names on it, and people kind of who worked on it, who we look up to and stuff. Yeah, Fifi Dobson's on one of the songs.
Nice. Yeah, we actually talked to Gianni previously about the Romeo Eats that him and his son are doing there. So he's definitely a great guy, and tried to get out to catch the live shows, and it's fun to see the connection that everyone has when putting together something like this, for sure.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Is this EP, does this tell a story about your life, but I always like to ask if you try to do a whole story with an album, or is it just kind of pieced out? Some people like to do different things, and I'm always curious about that.
We've done more of a concept album in the past where it's like really big story, but I feel like now as the album's almost done, it kind of does have some sort of concept on it.
It's like they're more like snapshots. We found that there are these themes, like some of the more relevant themes on the album are about overcoming and dealing with anything that's thrown at you, no matter what, you know, and making the best out of it. Like, and I think there's also one of the themes also is a movement.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Train Oz and all that stuff, like going somewhere, and there's like a momentum and a movement to the whole album, right? But
there's no general overall concept.
Yeah, but you know, there is some themes like a lemonade. You know, like it's like when life gives you lemons, you're making lemonade underground. We're fighting for our lives. We're gonna push and shove. You know, so there's this concept of overcoming like the shit that life throws your way. I found that like it's not a concept album. No, it's not.
There's themes.
Yeah, it's not like we did a Dark Side of the Moon or something like that. But
yeah.
Do you guys have a track on here you're like super excited for people to take in? And
100% this Friday, it's called Steady Roll. and it's like our focus track on the album. We have a video coming out for it, and it's a big rock tune, and yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it for sure.
Nice. Well, we'll make sure to highlight that when we release, so people can get a direct link to it for sure.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
Mm-hmm. So what does it take to do well in music these days, in your guys' opinion? Because there's so many things going on. Do you have thoughts on that process of doing well?
I think you have to be involved on like every aspect of your career right now if you want to like succeed in some way. Like you can't, like no one cares about your career more than yourself, right? Or your like the members in the band. As much as everyone around you cares, but it's like it's really up to you to like put in the work. And um yeah, I think nowadays you just need to understand all aspects of like how social media works, and how like it's not just sitting and writing music and hanging out with your friends. It's like there's so much more to it, and it's not like a label is going to come and do that for you either. Like labels are interested once you are doing it on your own. So it's mostly about like yeah, learning about how things actually work in the music industry, because it's very different from what like a young mind would think, right? And when you're just growing, you'd think like, oh, I wonder, this is how music works, but it doesn't at all. So learning about that stuff, I feel like is huge if you really want to make it as in this industry at all. Like
Yeah, it's almost like the DIY things that like the punks did back in the day is now what's in some form expected of young artists. You know, like the punks like back in the day, they were doing things on their own, you know, and like managing their own careers, and you know, and being in control of stuff and being in touch with all the aspects of the creation of music, right? And but that wasn't really like a massive thing in the times of massive record labels and stuff like that. But the internet has changed that so much, and everybody can have like their own TV channel, you know, that they are basically putting their stuff out in the world. Like if you have, you know, there's ridiculous accounts out there with millions and millions of followers, so that's like gets more viewership than major TV outlets. So yeah, it's like those things the punks are doing is kind of like now what you have to do as an artist of any like whether you're a photographer, a rock and roll band, or a pop singer, right? Like,
yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah, you're no longer just a musician, you're a content creator in a sense of having to touch base on everything.
It's weird because like yeah, you're almost like what's different from you or like a content creator who doesn't make music. It's like you do all the same things except your product is like music, and maybe
maybe he reviews video games.
Yeah, maybe he reviews video games, or he gives tips on whatever it is. You're still
hooks,
like so it's like you can't just be like, you kind of have to learn from everyone because everyone is creating content now, right? So
marketing themselves.
Yeah, it's not like you can just be like, I wonder how bands do it. It's like you can learn from anybody because everyone's kind of doing a similar thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit of.
They're after us.
They're after us.
It's definitely a benefit.
Hey, it wouldn't be rock and roll if it wasn't.
We're like,
flush the drugs, flush the drugs.
Yeah,
you're like cops breaking in and shit.
that would be a really interesting video for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Man gets arrested.
Fan gets a FBI like SWAT team breaks in.
So I do have a few questions I'd like to ask everybody. It kind of gives a little bit more insight to you and you guys as artists, but as people also. It makes you think a little bit more. So first one on my list is, what is something on your guys' go-to playlists that people wouldn't expect you're listening to?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Can we get
just each of us do one?
Can we get one each?
Yeah, by all means.
All right, bam.
I've been listening to like a lot of like electronic music recently.
Okay.
like Bob Moses. I really like them.
You can find me catching. You catch me listening to the Bee Gees quite a bit.
Okay,
that's
nice.
For me.
Is okay. Well, I don't know. Then like
That's pretty expected of you.
What about Metric? You like Metric?
I was gonna
I
say.
guess yeah. I've been listening to Metric.
Okay, nice. I like Metric.
I guess that's unexpected.
What is unexpected for me?
Listen to older Drake stuff.
I heard some older Drake stuff this week. Yeah, I never actually heard Drake in my life before, and I'm like, oh, this dude's super famous. Like, I should. But I feel like more I've liked like I've been listening to like this week for some reason this Industry Baby song, the Jack Harlow Lil Nas X thing.
Okay.
And seeing like it's crazy like the productions of these songs that like it's a different genre, but just hearing some of this shit, you're like, this is crazy, like what they're doing and stuff, right? But yeah, I don't know. You can expect something random from me every week. I usually just like
I'm a pretty random guy.
yeah, no, like some days I'll just pick whatever I'm feeling that week. But yeah, maybe this week was Industry Baby.
I feel you.
You?
Nice.
I've been really liking Vegas by Doja Cat for the Elvis movie. I thought that was so
Oh, the
good.
Elvis movie was sick.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like they took like the old Hound Dog, the old blues song, and they put like a they fucked it up. It's awesome.
No, that I always love those type of little, make it your own type of things. So those are fun.
For sure.
We're also listening to like lots of old Argentine rock songs this week.
Yeah, that is true.
We
Old,
kind of had like a little
old working class Argentine.
yeah, like
rock
some
music.
like that's the thing about in Argentina, rock is huge, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And out of Latin American countries, Argentina is kind of the head of national rock for like Spanish rock. And
There's this whole subculture of people who are like inspired by the Rolling Stones, and they all have like the mullet that Mick Jagger had in 1971, and there's like a whole like
it's a whole
generation.
like, a bunch of people to this day. You go to Argentina, they still have the Rolling Stones head like haircut and like Stone shirts on and stuff. But that's not even what I was saying. It's just there's a big scene of rock music there, right? And it's super interesting because it's like it's blues rock in Spanish, but it's got like this cultural and political thing to it where it's like specific to Argentina. So it's hard to like translate some of these songs, but there's some really great masterpieces that were written.
It's like some really good raw music.
Yeah.
Really honest.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you guys would recommend people like listen to if they want to check stuff like that out?
Sure. Well, you can check out El Piti Alvarez.
Well, here, let me write this down because I'll tag it after.
Locas. Yeah. So you can write this down: Viejos or AS.
Yeah, Viejas.
Viejas. And then Locas, Locas.
Like our album.
That means crazy ladies or
Crazy old ladies.
crazy women.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
band is crazy. Like they actually are really, really crazy.
Really unique.
And then
Yeah.
also what Juan said.
Yeah, like
Charlie Garcia.
Charlie Garcia is good too.
Sumo.
Yeah.
Spinetta.
There's so many great bands, man. Like
Soda Stereo.
There's a big history of music in Argentina,
Huge.
right? Because they had tango music, which was like a revolution. It was, I think, jazz or something like back in the 20s and 30s. So everybody loves music so much down there. Like the rock shows are like it's like a Roman Coliseum. Like the way they sing the guitar solos. Like 20,000 people will be singing the guitar solo. Like
Nice.
like,
Yeah, we'll try to tag some of these things in the description of the video to give some people more music.
100%.
For sure.
All right, next question. This one invokes a little thought, so I'll give you guys a second to absorb it. What's one thing that you think should be asked more in interviews that's not asked enough?
It's a good question.
Your moral values.
I don't know if like
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, everybody has different answers for this question.
I don't think it should ever get too political. That's one thing.
But you said that's something that you should ask, not that you shouldn't.
something
Yeah,
that should
well,
be
that's
talked about more, asked more.
I'm just
Okay, I think I have one that's kind of interesting. It would be cool if like, because you're supposed to, it's when you're doing interviews, like this is a pretty like open, loose kind of podcasting mode, so you can say a lot of other stuff. But sometimes like when you're doing interviews, you're supposed to like have the certain bullet points that your press release has, like when's the album out, what's about it, and that's important to do. But it would be interesting if like musicians back in the day used to say like more controversial shit in interviews, right? And they weren't that afraid. Some of them, like Bob Dylan and stuff, they weren't that afraid to talk about certain injustices that happen in the music industry. But like I myself, like I feel like maybe it's like when I'm doing an interview nowadays in 2022, it's like it's not a good look if I go out and talk about injustices in the music industry. You just you appear like someone who's like complaining or something, right? It would just be nice if there was a little more room to talk about those things, but I don't expect it to. It's fine.
That's why I try to leave this open, because there is so many things going on, and you guys might have something that's really important to you that I might not have been able to pull up and research. I'm not the greatest at research by any means. So if I leave it open and we get into a discussion, that's always fun because it's off the cuff and it's not cookie cutter questions as much as other things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
So those are fun.
Sorry, you cut out. What's that?
I said that type of stuff is fun talking about anything really.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know. This is such a hard question to answer. Do you guys have anything or?
Like something you
So
know,
I sometimes I don't know. It's kind of random.
something you know about your craft that you wish more people asked you about, or that there was more of like
Yeah.
a forum for you to talk about it. Think about it.
Yeah, some people like sometimes like I think what's like it's important like
Okay, I think I got something.
about I don't know like what gear we use. I like talking about gear.
I mean, I never think about gear honestly because I don't know anything about
I know.
guitars and stuff.
I know. I'm
It's
just
like-
a nerd that way. I talk about the tools that we use to make our craft.
Yeah,
I think it's similar to what John was saying, but it has to do with like, and some people do touch a bit about it, but just how much work is actually put into being in a band, right? Because a lot of people will like have the whole idea of like, this is a party all the time. You guys are having a great time. Everything's fun. You get to do like play music and stuff, but it's like that's not the reality, really, you know. And I feel like it's never really talked about as much about how much there's so much work and struggle behind being in a band, you know. And it's easy to get lost in the whole idea of like, oh, it's so fun and you guys are doing this or that, but there's so much bullshit involved, right? And so yeah, a mixture of what you were saying about the industry, but also just the day-to-day struggle of like trying to get your music out and like the whole do-it-yourself thing. And like no one's putting a gun to our head and being like, make music, you know. It's like it's coming straight out of our hearts, and like it's a lot, you know. It's like
You wish there wasn't such a stigma. Like there's
Like-
still a stigma of bands, and everybody still has this sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
exactly.
fantasy.
Like for example, it's just like just to get a little example. It's like I haven't seen my family in 3 years, right? Like since I moved to Canada, and because of the pandemic and all these things, it's like I think about how much I've sacrificed in my life for music, right? And it's insane. Like most people wouldn't sacrifice shit for their own jobs or whatever. They're like, fuck it, I'll get a new one. But like I'm here fucking giving everything I have to this job that I want to have, right? So there's something about that that's like I
Worth
feel like
talking
it's
about.
worth talking about. A lot of artists, you just see their Instagram pages or their TikToks or whatever, and you're like, oh, they're probably okay, but they're going through a bunch of shit, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's like an interesting thing to talk about.
That actually translates kind of really nicely into my next one is why do you guys do music? Like why do you do what you do?
I feel like that's a forever, like that's something that everyone's gonna ask themselves forever. But for me, it's just like it fully like takes over off my feelings and emotions. It's like there's nothing that makes me want to dedicate my life to this much, you know. So I don't know. When I was younger, it just hit me, you know. And I feel like it happens to certain people, but like when you kind of get that dream and it's put into you and you can't stop thinking about it. It just became my life goal ever since then, right? So I don't know why. I just know that I want to make music and I want to create something and leave something here for other people, you know.
And you can't help yourself.
I think a big part of it. I think we can all agree that it connects you to like everything and everyone, and you can kind of music. It allow like when you're listening to a song that you really relate to in the lyrics, like it's a special thing within you, and it stays with you. And I think we all want to. Yeah, we want to make music that inspires other people and they feel connected to the things we're saying and we're living. And it's just a pure, like, it's just creative, like, expression. It's just a beautiful thing.
For sure. No, and those are definitely music. Everyone absorbs it differently. So being able to connect with someone has to be a little bit more interesting, I guess, and a good reason to do things for sure.
Yeah, it's like I remember growing up and sometimes, you know, you're growing up and there's things happening in life and you don't know really how to understand what's really happening or whatever, and you're like, this is only happening to me, or like I feel this way and it's only me or whatever. It's really easy to feel that when you're growing up. And I feel like songs always help me go, like, when you're listening to a song and you're like, oh, this is a similar feeling, and you're like, oh wait, this guy felt it too. And then that's always been something that for me, I feel like I hope that kind of thing happens to other people when they hear our band and hear music, and it's kind of like a friend, you know. Like I remember like you would just have an album or a song to listen to growing up to be like, it's there for me no matter what. I could
Gives you
be,
comfort.
yeah, it's some sort of comfort, right? So yeah, it's just great to be able to also give that back to people. And like, you know, there's lots of, especially in this kind of music, in this scene and stuff, it's like there's lots of outsiders in the world who like are kind of confused and stuff, you know. I felt like when I was growing up I felt that way, but then having all this rock music and stuff that just made sense to me, it was like, oh, I found my place, you know. So
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, I know when I grew up, I attached a song to, you know, a time or a feeling or an emotion, and when you hear that song again, you're like, man, I remember that from whatever
forever.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's music's universal and it's gonna stay around forever, really. So if you can attach it to something and make it mean that much, it sounds good to me for sure. So one of my final questions is I like to ask this one because it's nice to give out to other people. What's a piece of advice that you guys were given coming up that has kind of held tight throughout your career?
Be irreplaceable.
Yeah, being irreplaceable is so important.
That's something my dad told me. That's true.
Like, don't stop. Like for me, it's always been like, yeah, do the best you can, right? And it's the same as be irreplaceable. It's just like, it's, you can get caught up with life and stuff, but if you really want something, like nothing should matter more than this goal of yours, right? So it's like practice does make perfect, and dedicating your whole life to it is like almost like for me the only way to accomplish it, right? So
Dedication is a huge one.
it's just
Persistence.
going all into it, you know, and not giving up. You know, it's the most cliche thing ever, but I was talking this to someone the other day. It's like, I feel like when you really want something more than anything, and you're gonna get thrown some of the biggest challenges ever, you know. Because if it wasn't like that, it'd be too easy. So something this big, which is like, this is huge, like making a career out of your dream and being able to make music and make money is like, that's not an easy accomplishment, right? So if you want that so bad, I feel like that's when life's gonna challenge you the most, and just be ready to take on these moments and expect them. You know, if you're like a young upcoming artist and you think, oh, it's gonna be fun, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be hard, and you're gonna go through lots of ups and downs, and you're gonna want to give up so many times. But it's up to you to not like let those emotions take over you, you know, and like just say, okay, this is gonna happen, and I'm gonna push through this, because every time you push through it, you're getting closer and closer, right? So yeah.
And like you said, it sounds cliche and everything, but everybody grabs hold of that exact feeling and attaches something to it also. Like, don't give up, and it means something different to everybody. So it may sound cliche, but it's also probably the biggest piece of advice you could really ever have.
Yeah, 100%. In whatever way, like, you know, that it means to you to not give up and to keep going, because, you know, it's different for everyone, like you said. But I think that's the strongest message, because you're gonna feel like giving up so many times, you know, like that's not a bad thing. It's just a feeling you're gonna get, because yeah, it's life, and you're gonna get put in a spot where you're like, is this worth it? Like, why is this so hard? But if you truly want it, it doesn't matter. It's just gonna be another moment, a little bump in the road, and like we've faced some crazy problems in our career, and we wouldn't be here talking to you if we would have let all these things, you know, stop us. So like, this album wouldn't be coming out, we wouldn't be living together and stuff. And there was moments where you couldn't even see the light on the other side. You'd be like, this is all going to hell, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? But then if you push through, then you're like, oh, look, all these things happen, and you know, you can accomplish mostly anything if you really want to do it, right? But I think there's a big difference between like really wanting it or not. A lot of people think like just kind of wanting it is the same as really wanting it, and that's like the difference. Is like everyone would love to be in a rock band and make music. Like, ask anybody, like, would you want that? They'll say yes, but it's like, do you really want it is the difference.
Yeah.
Like, are you ready to dedicate everything and your soul and blood to it? Or do you just think it's a fun thing? Because there's a lot of people who join bands because they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm hanging out with people and making music. That's not the same as someone who's like, I'm going to fucking do this forever, you know?
Mhm.
So,
No,
yeah.
for sure. Is there? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just that.
Well, so my last kind of point on that, then I guess a part two, is there a unique piece of advice that you guys have learned that you would give to someone else coming up at this point?
I think teamwork's huge. Like, be open to suggestion.
Yeah.
We're not, no one, you know, you're not always, if you think you're right and you know everything, you probably don't. So it's important to, like, it's a democracy, really. You know, can't be too headstrong in this industry.
I say enjoy the process of everything, because if you're not enjoying the everyday, then it's like this is so impossible. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
it. Love what you do.
like love it, but like love each step of it. Like understand that like growing and messing up is part of getting to the goal, right?
Yeah.
And making mistakes is okay, and like it's just enjoy the process, because if you're not enjoying the process, like it's just gonna be horrible once you get there and try to hold it or whatever. You'll maybe never make it if you're just constantly not enjoying what it is to be in a band every day, or to create music, or to create content. Like find joy in what you're doing, you know? Like if it's like so hard to sit down and practice, so hard to create content, it's like, is this really what you want to do? Because like it's, you know, that's what you have to do, right? So
That's actually one of my college professors said that to me in the final semesters. Like, do you really want to do, because I did like a multimedia thing, and do you really want to do this? Like, are you going to put the time and effort into actually doing this type of work? And my answer was, at the time, yes, because I'm thinking, well, yeah, I'm here for a reason. But then I didn't look at the amount of effort and everything. So I didn't do the work for the first couple of years after college, and I kind of had to really judge how I was going to do things. And now Hidden Beats is kind of where it is now because of the extra work I had to put in for that. So
100%. And
I feel that for sure. That's pretty much all the stuff I have to talk with you guys about. I wrote down. Anyways, actually, here's a good one I should ask. Is there an act that you guys think people should be looking out for coming up now?
like a new upcoming act.
Yeah, like maybe some more like a local that you guys are really digging, or someone that people might not know about that's coming up that you look out for.
Okay, these guys are already like bigger than us and stuff, but they're doing really big. They're making noise in Canada in general. The Bluestones.
Yeah, that's good.
They're I'm sure you might already know them, whoever's listening to, but they're great, and I feel like we have really good music happening.
Well, I mean, it's always good to. I personally actually haven't heard anything, so I'll check them out for sure.
Yeah, check them
Yeah,
out.
they're gonna like them.
They're doing really good. I know you guys.
Well, you think of that band that opened in Canadian Music Week for us? Not Texas King, the other one.
Oh,
Cold Weather Captains.
Cold Weather Captains.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
They
I
were
liked
fun.
them. They were all really nice.
They had a good vibe. I like they were entertaining.
Zebra and the Bandits are cool.
Oh yeah, we love those guys.
Yeah.
Boy Golden's pretty sweet.
Boy Golden is pretty sweet. There's a good scene happening right now. Lots of bands coming out, and it's a good moment for Canadian music.
Definitely more stuff to add to my list to listen to for sure. So I know other people do the same. So,
Sorry, totally cut out there.
Of course, my freaking mic's cutting out at the end of like usual. Is that good? Now you can hear me good? Anything?
A little bit better,
a
yeah.
little bit better. It's got really glitchy.
Well, we're at the end anyway, so we'll because we're having issues, we'll sign off here. And where can people find you guys on social media?
Like we spoke about TikTok, Instagram, and stuff, but yeah, YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Music. We're on most every streaming platform, and we usually update our fans talk like every day and stuff. So yeah, you can follow our journey and join the
Camino
Harmonies, Camino Loco world.
We'll make sure to tag everything that people can, or as much as we can anyway, so people can get access to you guys. And it was great having this conversation, even beside all the technical issues, and hopefully we'll get to do another one at some point.
Cool.
Of course, man.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks, Tom.
Enjoy the Blues Fest.
Yeah, actually, I have to start prepping for that and get it out shortly. But nice talking to you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Take care.